All right, we're here today with Simon Lockett, footwear product marketing category director for Ultraboost from Adidas or Adidas, depending how you say it or where you're from.
I mean, we got to start using Adidas. So the guy's name was Adi.
I know I can't do it.
There you go.
I'm sticking the red, white, and blue stars and bars. Adidas all the way.
All right, I'll go Adidas.
I'm sticking with Adidas as well, if that's all right.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll represent both sides of the coin. It's cool.
He also says Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm. Nothing makes sense. Anyway, Simon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure. How are you both doing?
Doing great. It's probably evening where you are. It's morning here, so we're shaking off the dust. We had a big party last night for Summer Grit.
Nice. Are you going to shake out with a run? Have you already been for a run? Is that coming up?
It's coming up.
I was supposed to. Yeah, I was supposed to. Probably wait till it's.
I actually have a workout today.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And I kept saying I'll get up at this time, and then I got up at that time. I said I'll get up at the next time, and it didn't happen.
Were you doing the thing where you keep hitting the button?
Yeah, it was just I don't have my kids for like 3 days, or we don't have our kids, so it's like my whole like sense of perception of time is thrown off. So, anyways,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, let's talk about that some more.
So I would love, Simon, how long have you been on the Ultraboost project? Because I go all the way back to when they first launched. Actually, I have it downstairs if I want to grab it. But the original Boost shoe when it first came out. How long have you been working on it?
Ultraboost 5X transitioned into this team sort of the end of 21, start of end of 21. No, sorry, end of 22 into 23 was sort of my time with the team. So yeah, picking up the project then. Moving prior to that, I was with the Adi Zero franchise. So moved out of Adi Zero, track and field, road racing, and then across to Ultraboost. Yeah. The end of 22. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Boost technology in Adidas. From the history that it's had, when it first came out, it was like one of the first non-EVA foams to come out and kind of bring something different to the running shoe, and it kind of made a big splash, and it permeated all of the Adidas product. And even crossed over into the active lifestyle category. And the thing that made it interesting was the energy return that it had. So as it's evolved, what's changed over time?
Good question. I think, you're right. When Boost first arrived, it was this sort of cushioning energy return revolution within running footwear, right? It was the first of its type. And I think by virtue of its cushioning and comfort, started to transcend these different areas and really started to expand within Adidas generally. I think probably one of the biggest things that changed over the time is the weight reduction. I think there was probably a point at which Ultraboost with more boost would have always meant heavier shoes. It got to a point where it was at a maximum I think we would have liked to take it to. I think it got to the point where we had to sort of step back and think, how do we redo this and keep Boost and keep all its sensation and what it brings to the runner, and just a wearability factor from a feeling. But I think weight was something that probably held it back. Not in terms of wearability, lifestyle world. I think it's still an amazing tech that you can wear all day long. But I think from a running perspective, that started to be a little bit of the downside of it, I think. And as Boost and Ultraboost aged, if you like, and sort of moved through these different chapters, then the industry started to change, right? And then you get to 2019, 2020, and then Adios Pro arrives. And then you've got Lightstrike Pro. And then you've got this completely different foam underfoot with a different sensation that's really, we're talking podiums, world records, etc. Whereas Boost was doing that, 2014-ish timing, right? So there's this big swing, I think, probably in the past like 4 years, I think, where Boost, still relevant from a wearability point of view, started to become difficult in the running space because of the competition, not just externally, but even within our own range, right? The level of product within our own range has excelled in the past few seasons. So I think with Ultraboost Light 1 and the introduction of Light Boost as a first foray into lower density still with that cushioning, but trying to reduce the weight of Ultraboost, I think was a nice step in the right direction. And then I think with what we have now in 424 really pushes that on even further. So I think the weight reduction is definitely a big part of it. And almost now it's the sort of the recreation on another level, I think, especially from a build perspective, recreation of that cushioning and that sort of fit and feeling. And then obviously energy return comes with the upgraded foam and the stack change as well.
You bring up a good question, though, because you have introduced other foams into the line, and especially in the Adi Zero line, which is pinnacle performance. You've moved sort of away from Boost. Why is Boost important to it, Adidas, and having it in the line? Why is it a technology you guys are like really behind?
I think it's probably part of what you touched on at the start around this idea of energy return. I think it's something, it was unique in the way that we started to talk about that and generally started to bring that as a benefit within footwear, within everyday run footwear, right? Within this sort of everyday proposition, loops of the park, whatever it might be. And I think holding on to some of that is important because that is a very unique element that we can bring from a brand perspective into the space, which is a crowded space, right? There's a lot of brands out there. There's a lot of different models out there, all competing. So I think it's important to have that. And also because of, my perspective and working on Ultraboost it feels different and it feels special. And I think it's because you're looking at this icon and it's almost the idea of now's your time, look after it, make it better. And then when you step away, you should have left it in a better place. I think there's that idea with Boost, there's something that is so unique for the brand. And it's this thing that even if consumers don't get that that Boost isn't a model, we hear it often, right? Running Boost. Okay, which model are you talking about? It's this affinity and this connection, I think. And it's this sense of elevation and good experience and then connected to the brand. So I don't think it's something you step away from. I think you've got to be convinced and you've got to have the team, and fortunately we do throughout the entire creation chain, to build on something and to make it better. And I think that's been a big thing around Boost. It would be very easy when you've got something like a Lowstack Pro or a Dream Strike Plus now coming into the lineup, right, within the new Supernova franchise. It'd be very easy to step away from Boost and be like, you know what, we tried. Now we've got something better. But we don't have something better. We've got something different. And I think it's a bit of a nuance, but I think it's a good way of looking at it. Those are the foams that are incredible and do great things for in connection with an energy rod or a support rod or whatever it might be.
So somebody's trying to say the average consumer who doesn't know the difference between the Adi Zero line or Ultraboost, how would you differentiate the two things if you were explaining it to the average person?
Yeah, I think the first sort of distinction I would probably move to is the idea of Supernova being comfort and support. So it's this additive support, which materializes in different ways, right? Between the lineup, obviously Solution having more medial support versus Rise, and then Prima being this sort of wonderful mix of the two in this sort of neutral, stable world, as a bit more plush and with a bit more stack underfoot. But it really is this combination of both, which to a very new runner might just sound a little nice, a little comforting to hear. You've got this comfort and support, and for someone that is stepping into a very technical space and asking, what is the best shoe for me, if you like to put it from a consumer question perspective, maybe Supernova is that world, right? You can imagine it on certain walls. I think the difference then with Ultraboost is then this full energy, almost like full gas shoe, still built with geometry that's stable, nice stack. It's not overbuilt. It's really nice ride. It helps you roll through, but you don't, whilst verbiage is removed from support, moves away from it, I think then we just focus on this energy and this experience. And it's almost then the idea of going in and be like, okay, what's the best shoe? What's the best shoe that I can get right now? And that might be Ultraboost, because it's this all-encompassing thing, as opposed to Supernova that is comfort and support blended together. That's how I like to think about both, and should complement each other, I guess.
Gotcha. And so there's two different models of the Ultraboost, at least this year. There's the
caged and uncaged.
Yeah. So the Ultraboost 5 and then the Ultraboost 5X. So what's like, why not just have one? Why do you have the caged version and then uncaged version?
Great question. Which one have you got there? Sorry.
Oh, that's the.
Right.
That's the right. Wait, is that the cage one?
This is cage.
That's the cage one. So that's a 5.
It's
just
really,
a normal 5. Yeah.
It's a really good question, and we actually, this friend, the 5, we were sat in factory last May. Nearly finished this. There was still a lot of things to tweak and a lot of small things to finish up around the shoe. May is sort of coming into the last sort of proto round, really. But as we were looking at this, we started to sort of think a little bit through, okay, how does maybe the future look of Ultraboost? Is it shape? Is it silhouette? How do we play around with it a little bit? Are there elements of this shoe? When we think about the makeup of 5, the interesting thing here, and I've got just really quickly because I think I was explaining, obviously, from a stripe perspective, it's not a full lockdown cage. It sits 50% off. It's not into the tooling. It's this sort of external support exoskeleton, if you like, but super lightweight, really nice with that suede back as something that's nice and flexible. But it was almost this idea of, okay, if it wasn't there, how would we ensure you've got midfoot lockdown? And it's almost this, design, just ideation process of, okay, maybe if we take it off, do we need to tune the knit differently? How do we think about the lacing system? And really, this 5X was actually, this isn't far away from the first sample that we had in factory after we made some tweaks. So we essentially had both of them sat side by side. The 5X fit a little bit differently, is a little bit more snug in the midfoot, which was surprising at first because you would like to think that with the cage, if you like, it's a little bit more snug. But actually, the 5X started to come back and people felt a little bit more snug, a little bit more locked down in the midfoot. It's a little bit narrower, I guess. Mm-hmm. Also, then we started to think, there's a lot of people that love the ride of this, or generally, but maybe if the external cage is something they're not quite into or not quite happy with, and we've heard that over the years where this has always been an element of Ultraboost. Maybe this is a nice idea for people that don't quite want that. And then we put it on the scale, and this was actually reduced in weight, the 5X versus the 5.
Oh, okay. Right.
So the end,
let's talk.
Why not bring both and basically give the consumer preference or
the choice
option?
So let's talk a little bit about. I'll give you some ideas on how our audience sees the Boost and the feedback that we get from it. And you this is one of the questions that I would have in continuing the Ultraboost line for performance running. Is that it really kind of did transition for a while out of performance and into the active lifestyle. And we touched on that with the weight. And I feel like for a while here, shoe manufacturers, not just Adidas, but across the board, weight was a huge concern for daily trainers, and everybody was skimming it down. And it's funny because we're testing a lot of shoes currently that are much heavier than in the last 2 previous years. So we've been getting shoes in again from my size 10.5 USA that are cresting over 11 ounces, or I don't know the grams for that, but so the Ultraboost has been one of those ones that traditionally seem to be a little bit heavier than the competition. Now, with the cushioning and the stack and the energy return, it's sort of not wildly overweight anymore. It's right in the mix with what we're seeing from other competitors in this space, where I would say it's that cushion daily trainer with a higher stack that's going to protect the feet pretty well. How do you win the consumer back though from thinking, okay, this shoe has been out of performance and now you're bringing it back in? And I've run in the shoe. It's a very nice daily trainer. I think it's back in the performance side of product. I'm just wondering how that's going to be, how you're going to win the hearts of the consumer.
It's a great point. I think one of the things I always come to in either shoe, just with the platform, I guess itself, is that sort of experience and that wow feeling from Boost generally. And we're convinced that that is back as something that feels good when you put it on the first step to the last of your run. The convincing of consumers is going to be the first moment of truth when you physically have it, either in hand or then on foot. Because I think immediately when you pick it up, you notice the weight reduction compared to if you know Ultraboost and you're saying, converting old UB runners back into this or whatever it might be, I think you immediately notice it. And then as soon as you put it on, that cushioning and the feel and the fit is super nice. Also from an upper perspective, being a little less restrictive than maybe construction we may have had in the past. So I think for me, it comes down to that moment of truth of stepping into the shoe. As you've almost like you got to feel what's underfoot, and then you can be convinced that actually, yes, to your point, you go for a run, you think, yeah, it's back in that space and it's back competing.
I was personally, I got to test it when I was in. I think I tested the 5 and maybe the 6 in the when we came to Germany. And
you were in the
lab. Yeah, so I got to try it on the lab, and I was actually surprised how nice it felt underfoot, and my perception of weight was probably off by an ounce or so, thinking it was lighter than it actually is. And I think sometimes that happens when the upper and the midsole work so well together to kind of create, it's not as bottom heavy, so it all works together. But it was interesting to me. My first reaction was, smile on my face that this was a viable, oh, okay, Boost is back. It's back on track.
Nice.
I'm guessing that the people that are testing it on your development, they have access to all the Adidas product. Is there a general inside feeling amongst your colleagues about where the shoe's going to fit into their training?
Oh, internally into training rotation?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I mean, I see a lot of people just rocking it lunchtime loops. There's some, you've been here, right there, the forest outside. The campus is incredible from a
beautiful
perspective.
Not bad.
We're very lucky to have that on our doorstep. Even coming in, I normally arrive probably about 6:45 in the morning and go for a loop. It's amazing. I see a lot of people out there wearing it. Whether it's, I think that's probably where it falls into a program for someone that's got a program, right? Or I think that's why it also suits a lot of runners, is that idea of your lunchtime loop, your loop before work, the one that you maybe just feel a bit rubbish when you're going out there, or you want to go at lunchtime and blast it for 5 miles, 6 miles, whatever it might be. People are enjoying that. I think different tracks and different loops and things. So I think that's where it fits in, and then it fits nicely then into that rotation. If you're fortunate enough to work here or have access to the product, be it training program, you might then transition into a Boston or a Pro, or whatever it might be. Take your pick. But I think it's almost the easy miles, but the easy miles where even if you've got some pickups in the middle, or you maybe need to shift for a 1 or 2 in the middle, it's got that as well. And I think that's one of the coolest things about it, is it feels great and rolls through really nicely. But when you want to pick it up, I'm not sure if you tried that, it's got something, it's got a little kick, and it really carries you as well. Which again just makes it this really nice sort of all-inclusive experience, I think. But yeah, that's where most people are trying it.
Is there any science behind, because this is just a theory of mine, but any science behind wearing a heavier shoe for your daily miles, your recovery miles, and then switching into the lighter weight race day feel shoe? Is there anything that, like, I'm like, fingers crossed that's what's going on?
I think it's probably just proprioception. It just comes down to the feeling, I think. And then on race day, put them down that's springy, light, stiff from a roll through, if you Pro 3 or whatever it might be. I wouldn't be aware of science behind it. I would also like to think that's the case. Then you feel good. Not that I train with a parachute on, but it's that idea, right, of put the hard yards in, then race day, you give yourself the little edge. I've not thought about that from a science perspective, I guess, in this world, but it's got to be the case.
Mm. We also saw the Boost move into the Adi Zero line before, and now it's out of that line. Will there be other models of Boost coming out in the Boost line that will be maybe geared towards lower stack or faster? Like, are you going to be doing different things with the Boost, or is the Boost your max cushion comfort shoe?
I assume this podcast goes out on time. I'm not sure exactly when it goes out. We will have a lower stack shoe within this lineup at the same time. The drops, which will be really nice, sort of really easy going. You sort of get the benefits of light boost upgraded, but on a lower stack with a bit more of a conventional step and things like that. I think could be a really nice play. Alongside that, I think consistent innovation. I think one thing we've seen a lot of results with this foam that suggest there's more to this, to the point earlier of like Boost in 2015, like where it's been, we're now convinced there's more to it. So we'd love to keep expanding, keep exploring. So I'm not going to say yes right now in terms of something bigger or something connected elsewhere, but for sure it doesn't stop with this. This launches now, so we're already thinking about what's going to come in the future.
Right.
Timelines are long, so to speak.
I mean, do you feel like we've talked about this before on other podcasts? Do you feel like the stack height trend is gonna start coming back the other way a little bit, where it's more developing technologies that offer the same feel but in a lower stack height? So
excuse me. I ask myself this question all the time when I'm thinking about range building and how we think about sort of long term. I think the point you just mentioned there around if there is the feeling and if there is the benefit associated with lower stack that we now consider on high stack, right? From a high stack point of view, energy return up, cushioning up. That's why we've gone in that world, right? If foam innovation unlocks the same benefits on a lower stack, I don't see why not. Some of the products that we've got within the Adizero lineup on a lower profile that are gonna, some are in there now, right? I think already start to show that there's interest, and also, I'm not saying this fully integrates into a running world because we talk running tech and we should make sure that's the focus, but you do see trends in lifestyle and, outside of this running world where high stack suddenly can move to low stack fairly quickly, right? And how that impacts the market as well and impacts consumer mindset is also really interesting. But for now, I think it sort of remains what people associate comfort cushioning with high stack. Yeah. But as soon as either more people in certain parts of the, parts of culture and lifestyles where lower stack people gravitate towards it, maybe trend led, but also then you've got to have the benefit associated with it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly people are wearing Sambas that have zero cushioning in them right now. Right. They seem to be everywhere, at least in the States. Like we went to New York and
it's incredible. It's incredible, to be honest.
Adoption, So let's talk about like the future and what we can expect. So we know that the 5 is coming out this fall, correct?
Yep.
So consumers will be able to get reintroduced to Boost and hopefully give it a shot for performance wear and performance training. And it clearly is, it can fit with the rest of the Adizero lineup. But what are we thinking as far as Adidas's future with the different lines of shoes?
I think one of the really nice things about our range right now is that we've got a very consumer-centric approach to each benefit and each sort of platform, if you like, be it Lightstrike Pro, really nicely connected with Fast, Light, Dreamstrike Plus, this sort of everyday, that combo of comfort and support I talked about, and then Boost being this sort of like hugely energized experience. So we've got a really nice balance, I think, across the range. And I think we want to make sure that we're speaking to as many runners as possible. I think if already now you start to think about that, maybe getting a little bit too tight, maybe you start to drift back a few years and maybe alienate people, you're not quite speaking to as many runners as possible. So I think we want to continue developing this idea of platforms that deliver different benefits, that can speak to different runners. And as long as we bring authentic product within each of those segments on those platforms, I think it's a really nice portfolio to have and also to speak to, and we can cater, like I say, to more runners. I think as well, alongside that, it all comes with innovation pipeline, like are we unlocking things in certain areas that suddenly just arrive on the table and we have to go, okay, we've got to figure this out. We've got to plug it into a different range or whatever it might be. Lightstrike Pro not that long ago wasn't on our table and is now such a significant part of what we do. Light Boost V2, if you like, upgraded version, wasn't on our table 3 years ago. It is now. So I think there's an element of planning and strategy and trying to build around the consumer with the platforms and really nicely lay everything out to welcome people in. But at the same time, being agile enough to say, okay, yep, there's an innovation that's ready. We're going to bring it in because it serves the purpose of X runner that's going to run the pack once a week. It's going to be the best experience for them. So I think we've got to keep moving in that world. And I really like the idea of platforms being connected to that use case and that experience, because then everything you do, if you talk consumer experience and runner experience, the shoe you deliver, not just the platform, but the whole package. You talked about this combo of upper and platform before. That's when you deliver the best product, I think. As soon as you get too tied into a tech, that's when you can start to go off and build things that people are either not going to enjoy, going to turn people off from the sport, which we definitely don't want, or from us. So it's a balance. But I think as long as the consumer's at the center of it, I think there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. But that's why I like the range set we have now, because I think we can speak really nicely to that. So for now, I think that would roll with the innovation pipeline we have. But be agile enough to move with consumer and also move with trend, to your low profile question before as well.
Yeah. I have a question real quick about kind of your role as a marketing director for the line or for the category. What's like the difference between different countries, or what's the challenge in marketing a type of shoe to different, geographic regions? Yeah. Because I feel like if you go from one continent to another, people have wildly different tastes in footwear. So how do you do that as in your job?
I'm smiling because it's a fun challenge. It's a fun challenge. Luckily, for the size of the brand, we have such huge networks of colleagues that sign all different parts of the world, right? And we have so many sort of milestones, touch points, interactions, where I think it's not about me coming to the table of an individual room and say, hey, we're going to do this, and then go next door and say, hey, we're going to do this. I think there's a lot of touch points in which a product can be brought that then goes in front of a representative group from within the brand that can then contribute in terms of what they need from their market, what consumers in their market are looking for, and things like that. It is obviously a challenge because there's a big part of it where you just try your hardest to be as inclusive as possible, which in its fullest extent would mean you'd have about 30 different ranges, because you'd be so conscious of making sure, we've got to build for this person
Right.
over this night in California, even within North America, you might have differences on different coasts, and different people like different things, or different weather, different geographies, or can people run outside, or do they have to run inside because of whatever, situation, heat, climate, whatever it might be within a country. So there's a lot of different things to consider, but that's also within the product line. Take Ultraboost as this example. It's not just about this individual product. I mentioned you've got a lower stack that's maybe built slightly differently. You've got different price points that fit then the entire pillar as well. So whilst you put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into the likes of an Ultraboost at the very sort of top of the range in that pinnacle moment, you've almost got to be as equally conscious of every price point and everything that sits around it. I always talk about a product line existing within an ecosystem. So you might have a center point shoe that, this conversation comes around the key shoe, for example, that's where we start. But you've got to build an ecosystem around it that can then welcome people in different geographies and also try and share the same experience that your main shoe might have. So if an Ultraboost, we talk about Ultraboost having an incredible wow feeling experience on the foot. If there's a country maybe where it's going to be too hot for this, how do you deal with that? Or maybe the price point's too high, so how do you bring that down, but still give someone that experience, but maybe in a realm that they can enjoy because they can afford it. So there's a lot of different things that come into it, and there's a lot of different things to consider. So it's a fun one, but I think that's probably also what makes it quite interesting. Like I say, the network is incredible.
You brought up a couple things there. One was price. So the Ultraboost 5, what's the US cost of the shoe?
$180.
Okay, so that's in there with the premium cushion shoes, pretty around the same area. I
It's
understand
also
that. One
it's
of
also down from where it was. We've in the past few seasons, it's been above there as well. So we bring it back down. 180 was the original price of Ultraboost, and it sort of fluctuated, and now we're bringing it back down to
Okay.
that.
And the other characteristic of the shoe is the Ultraboost foam itself didn't seem to have, it seemed to be able to last longer than other traditional foams. It didn't die out as quickly. So the energy return over time
Yeah.
remained. Actually, I like the shoe that I have from the very first one still has, if you put it on, it still has some squish and bounce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is the longevity of this foam? Like for $180, we've got to be looking at a shoe that can provide value over time. What would you say is the lifespan of this?
The annoying answer is it depends on the
Yeah, but you put it on machines. I know you guys test
I
these
know you
things.
put it on machines. It's that's probably one consistent feature within Boost. It's the rebound, it's the durability that you're going to get back on the foot, the energy return here being higher than what we've had before. So that's for sure there, and continues to be one of the major, I guess, benefits of this shoe is that rebound. To be honest, that's where energy's higher, cushioning's great, everything that comes together. So yeah, honestly, we don't have a number that I would necessarily put behind it. It's very good for sure. The extended wear test, the amount of kilometers that people have put into it as well as machine testing and durability testing. It's easy to say, but true, passes with flying colors. So it's in a really good spot from that point of view. And I think that's where you owe it to a consumer if someone's going to spend $180 on a shoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It needs to be something that is wearable for a long time.
Yeah.
You might run in the shoe and then you might do another bunch of things in the shoe in the same day, right? It's got to be something.
Well, that's the nice thing about the Ultra Boost is that you see people rocking it all the time. As far as just like a regular casual shoe, it can really do both things.
Yeah, there's some you don't want to wear once you it's finished running.
Yeah, so it's like for $100, it's $180, but you're really getting two shoes out of it. One for it can do anything.
So it has a premium feature also of the Continental rubber that you guys put on your top shoes. And I noticed that this has full coverage on the bottom. There's very little, cutouts as far as, what we're used to seeing exposed foams and something like that. Is that due to the fact that the Boost would have trouble with ground contact?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you wouldn't want to have full open coverage of Boost. Like we've not had that in the past. I mean, we've had different, stretch web. If I go back to the 1.0, you've probably got downstairs there. Different pockets of different sizes. It's not necessarily, you definitely wouldn't go with full exposure. But I think the balance here is just to give it enough grip. And I think this is where, when we think about the brief and how we wanted to put the shoe together, you could probably, I saw some notes as well earlier around your thoughts on the shoe, and I got a quick download of your feedback, which is great. So thank you, by the way. I wouldn't have done this if it sucked. It was really nice to hear. And I think one of your points was around, weight reduction. Can you reduce the scale of the outsole? And yeah, you could, for sure, you could. But again, going back to that idea of, if this is a shoe that someone's going to run a loop at the park in, or you're going to run here, or you're going to run on the road or wherever, you want to give people the feeling that they can use it a little bit more multifaceted than just a pure, amazing tarmac surface. And also to the point of geographies, the shoe is a huge shoe globally. So you can never be too sure that it's going to be run on pristine conditions underfoot. So it was a bit of, you sort of go, we might add 5-10 grams with a little bit of extra coverage, but durability is going to be increased. More people might feel a little bit more secure just from a longevity point of view wearing it. So I think that's sort of one of the feelings as to why we've gone with this outsole. Not to mention is why I think that the team did an incredible job from a traction pattern perspective, and also the size of hole really still allows the Boost to flex and expand. We still have that same idea from Stretchweb in 1.0 of that really nice expansion rate within Boost. You want it to move and feel like you're getting something from it. And that's what this still allows, while still just adding that bit of security, essentially.
Okay. One other component in the shoe is sort of, Robbie, can you read? Is that the torsion?
This thing.
Yeah, the torsion system.
Yeah, there we go. What is that adding to the experience of the run?
It really, I mean, torsion itself is born from this idea of the shoe sort of twisting, or the original, I guess, was the shoe twisting in the midfoot. Now, with a higher stack geometry, with a foam like this, it's not necessarily one-to-one doing the same thing, but it does add a little bit. It stops it twisting so much. But if anything, I think the feedback that we've had from the torsion introduction is just feeling a little bit of a nicer transition from heel, midfoot, forefoot. It's very runner dependent because different levels of runner are going to strike at different moments in the shoe. But for those that are really landing quite far back, it's adding a really nice roll through and just make sure that the foot is really nice and supported all the way through. Because I think that's, when it comes to Boost, often combined with the upper, we wanted to make a conscious effort to make sure the shoe felt stable and secure. We didn't want the foot to be sliding off the tooling, be it the upper's a little bit too loose or the midfoot being a little bit too narrow. So actually it's quite a wide base anyway, but it was just a little additive piece to make sure that people really felt the nice roll through, to be honest. As well, I won't hide from the fact that it's just also a really nice design feature for Ultraboost. And I think
It does look good.
when we were all, relative shoe nerds as well here, when we started talking about the reintroduction of torsion into Ultraboost, it started to get quite exciting. We can bring torsion back, we can do it, we can add torsion back in and make something of it, and add it in a way that it's adding something from a nice transition, but just this really nice flicker as well. From a color perspective, underfoot, it's recognizable, and it felt right. Ultraboost 5 going in the right direction from a performance running perspective, and just this real nice nod of torsion. It felt cool. So sort of two worlds coming together.
Nice.
I mean, the shoes come together, I think, beautifully. As far as a knit upper goes, I think they can be tough to execute. Yeah. And, if it's not done right, it's really sloppy. Robbie, you've had a problem with knits.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely hit or miss.
How did you feel?
Yes,
did the knit feel okay? Like from a
the fit, I'm probably one of the people that would probably prefer the cageless.
Okay.
But as far as the knit goes, it's the comfort level. Once you get the lacing correct, I didn't really notice the cage impeding the fit at all. So it didn't really get in there. I think for me, it's a warmth component. So sometimes the cage, especially we're in hot, humid climate here, between the knit and the cage being on the midfoot, that's the issue that I would probably have. So I'm excited to try it without the cage and see if that, brings in not only a slightly lighter shoe, but also maybe more breathability. I'm going to guess just from the nature of the cage that will happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a conscious decision with the sort of the mono yarn placements, where essentially where you've got the sheen mainly through the vamp area, slightly more open, and that's again from a feedback perspective on knits, it can be tough to control the stretch, and we talk about adaptability, but adaptability can sometimes go a little bit too far and it doesn't always come back. So I think we've got a really nice balance, and trying to open it in the right areas as well. It's that really fine balance of open structure versus security. And I think there's a really nice balance here, and you see it almost, what would run along the top of the two, and I guess around here is really nice close. So
is that the vamp?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a little bit more closed up around there, I guess.
One of the things that we saw when we were at the headquarters was the way that you use computers and cameras to see where shoes are flexing on the Prime X2. We saw like how Strung is. They can almost immediately change the wrap just based on looking at where it's creasing or folding or getting stress through the run. Is this something that was employed here with the Ultraboost upper as well?
Yes, so you were downstairs in the lab, and right across the way from the lab, we have the knit sensor. incredible bunch of individuals who work solely on knit base, or the strung team as well. It's part of the same setup. So really focus on that, and it's more taking the learnings. So on strung, seeing how that reacts to the foot, and also then from previous knit explorations on all models we've done, running the same tests and understanding, okay, where is the stretch, where's the foot flexing, where are the heat zones, where's the irritation zones, and then trying to implement it in here. So the knit, as much as we talk from a boost perspective in terms of advancement, this knit upper is right up alongside it. One, in terms of the amount of work that's gone into it to make sure we have this balance of adaptability, support, breathability where possible, and then making sure we're trying to reduce irritation, from again, coming back to this idea of an Ultraboost has got to be able to wear it for 5 miles, for your day, post-work, whatever. It's got to be that comfort. It's got to feel nice. And people are going to wear it with different socks. They're going to wear it in different climates. There's going to be a bunch of different things that with an Ultraboost consumer, it's harder to second guess because there's so many of them, so many different types of people are going to wear it. So the advancement here is really special, actually, from a knit perspective. So yeah, excited to see you try it with on the 5X as well versus the 5. I think it'd be interesting.
Cool. As a marketing director, what makes you most excited about not just necessarily specific models in the line, but just your job? Is it the seeing new product come to market, seeing people wearing your shoe in public? What's like the most kind of satisfying thing about your job?
There's a lot. There's a lot, which is great to say. With this one, if you couldn't tell, I'm from the UK, from England, and we're playing in the Euro Championships, and to see some of our English football players wearing this shoe in the England camp is kind of cool. That sort of takes me back about 20 years, watching the likes of a Beckham and idolizing these type of people, and then seeing the current icons wearing it. That's a really nice feeling. That's away from running. That's just seeing someone in a shoe that you've worked on.
Yeah.
Picking it up on shelf is cool, but I will sit for hours and annoy a lot of people and just read reviews and read comment sections, and which I shouldn't. Don't
do it.
Which you shouldn't do, because it can really send your day in a different direction to how you maybe expected it to go. But that's one of the best. I love that. I love seeing it, and also it helps when people give positive reactions to shoes that you've worked on and been a part of. But I think that's the moment then you realize, okay, you've made something. It's impacting someone. Hopefully, someone's had a good run and enjoyed it, and you've been a small part of that, right? You're a small part of that journey. It's a really nice feeling. And also then you sort of think the amount of people that spent a lot of time and energy here. Because it's really funny, I guess, anything you work on specifically, right? There's no one else. There's no other team or group of, I don't know how many people in the world across all our creation team that have spent so much time in a room with an Ultraboost. Like no one else has been there and spent that much time thinking and worrying about Ultraboost. And then to just see out there is a really nice, rewarding thing. And reading reviews is good, because that's also, you build it for people that you don't know, and then suddenly you see a little bit of a connection. Some people wearing it, some people commenting on it. I find that's pretty cool. Even the negative reviews, sometimes can help frame things maybe for next time, or maybe shine a light on things. Oh, maybe we didn't quite think of that, but we can do it next time. And I think that's all part of the journey. So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of really nice, rewarding features. And reading even some of your feedback today. Is also really cool, right? Because you're able to share with like-minded people in the industry, and people then giving you feedback. You go, that's really nice input. So there's a lot of really rewarding things around it, not just on Ultraboost, but every project that I've been a part of. It's either this or, I don't know, watching Prime SP2 rock Eugene when we did it for the 22 World Champs as an example. That's a very different feeling, because you're watching world-class athletes absolutely smash times, win gold medals. It's a very different feeling, but there's a lot of different aspects to it I think are super special, for sure. And it's not just me either, it's a full team. You saw it right from an innovation point of view all the way through to the inline creation team, and then all our market colleagues that have to go out and sell the shoe and position the shoe and market the shoe as well. So many people involved. So it's rewarding, I think, when you see it out there. Long answer.
This one was an interesting you brought up something that I found interesting. Normally, we don't review or give feedback on product until it's on the market. And in this particular case, we had the opportunity to come to Germany, and I got to try it in the lab, and kind of be in not an insider, but close to finished product. But I don't know if it was 100%. I think parts of the shoe that I was testing were 100%. But coming in through there, and then being able to privately give feedback rather than publicly give feedback, it's a different way than we normally operate. Obviously, we're looking forward to the whole team being able to check out the shoe and give their feedback. I really think, for me, one of the things that's going to be the toughest hurdles is convincing people back into that the Ultraboost is back into performance, and there is a viable shoe for daily training and a choice for you the consumer to look at as an option. But once that hurdle gets over, I think that, especially for me, I enjoyed the last few Ultraboost as, like Robbie was saying, kind of like a crossover shoe that you could run in, but maybe not necessarily the one that you would pick for a daily trainer. So this one coming in and really being an option for runners, I'm interested to see how people respond to it and come adopt it back into the mainstream running performance line, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I mean, it's not long to go. I mean, you'll start seeing it roll out really soon. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. And it's there. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Are you excited for the Olympics as well?
Yes. Yeah, it was a special thing to have it. I mean, it's going to be podium shoe across both.
Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
Noah, hopefully.
I think that's a lock.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. We don't want to do the believe in the run jinx on anyone.
We've all done the opposite.
Actually, that is true. Anyone who comes on our podcast,
you're going to have your
gold
career,
medal.
Simon. It's just going to explode now.
Yeah, just get out there. You can still qualify.
I'm going to go to the track right now. I'll test myself.
GB or 5K.
Exactly. I think the GB trials has happened, but I'm sure they'll accept, a ridiculous wild card.
They should honestly have like an Olympics, like a side Olympics for average humans who just kind of maybe get there by way of lottery even.
Are you talking about a marathon?
Yeah. But televised, have it, have a ceremony and everything.
Or take that further in sort of like beer mile Olympics, I think would be a good way to go,
Oh, I just did a beer mile and it was so rough.
I want to do one. I've never done one. I want to do it. I want to try it.
All right. I did one at altitude 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
Dude, I would die.
And it was rough. I think Robbie, I think I came in like second to last or third to last. But anyway, so when your campus is really cool, that everything is there. So originals, there's a section for Terex, there's, basketball, you've got all these different sports. It's almost like it's Disneyland for people who like athletics. It's fascinating. So when you're not working on Ultraboost, do you get to peek your head into look at the other product lines and the other spaces?
Yeah. So, I mean, be it through Global Milestones when we open for seasons, the podium is an incredible showroom that we have here where we welcome a lot of global accounts, but also different people. And twice a year, you have global markets arrive here, and going through theirs is pretty special. And you can go into each category room, unlocked or locked, you can find a way, but you can get in there and you can see what's going on. And it's pretty cool because one, you then start to recognize some of the brilliant individuals here from a creative perspective that are creating product that is so spectacular in its own right, be it originals, Terex, you name it, football, especially soccer. There's so much that I love to go in and see, and also it gives you inspiration, right? You start to see different things and different ways of looking at it, be it from a product perspective, be it from a color world, or be it even just from a the way a room is dressed or set up gives you the inspiration of, okay, maybe if we come with the next Ultra, we can think about this could be a really nice selling environment, whatever it might be. But yeah, we get to see a lot. It's lucky, it's fortunate. There's a lot of sort of walkways here where sometimes people have different maker phases going on for different seasons, different categories, and you get to walk through and see different things. But that's why, you call out there, it's kind of a special place to be, because you just feel you're in this really nice creative world of products, and a lot of people that are just into product and want to make cool stuff for people, which is probably the nicest thing about it, I think.
So which do you have a favorite if you weren't in running? Is there a division?
Favorite category?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm a football fan, a soccer fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. It's probably
okay.
Maybe people I don't know, but it's true. We can only go. So I'm a soccer fan. We do a lot of recreational hiking as well, away from running. It's a big part of it. And then I do like wearing Sambas. I don't know. It's a big mix. It's a tough question. It's a tough question. There's so many good things from the brand at this moment in time that it is hard to say. It's a really nice place to be, I guess.
I think one of the great things about Adidas is the heritage, and that you can pull from, you can pull from 50 years ago.
Yeah, the archives.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and all the way up to the current stuff. The aesthetic and the visuals have always been very exciting for me as a consumer. Mm-hmm. So I love seeing that that your running shoes still look like traditional running shoes. They still have that sleekness to them, that almost like when you pull them out before you even put them on your feet, you can see them in motion and want to put them on and go for a run. Just talking with you here, having the Ultraboost in front of me, I'm like, it'd be nice to get a running in these. But
it's a special place. The archive's cool. It's a really, yeah. Did you get a chance to go in there in the archive?
We didn't go in the archive, but they kind of set up a special display for us. I forget the name of it's got a dining hall on the bottom, but it had an auditorium and which building was that?
I've been in Podium, I think, as well. The exhibition over there could have been.
Yeah, I think it was, because we were in Laces and all the other spots. But they had a nice setup, and they even had the original business card of Adidas when it was. I forget what it was, 1D or something. No, wait, I forget what it was. Might have been double. Anyway. So we got to see all that stuff. They pulled out some of the marathon shoes from the past and everything like that. So it was really cool, and kind of just gives you that. And plus, Run DMC stuff was out and all that stuff. But it just gives you that heritage feeling that you're it's kind of special. That
I think so.
Many companies can go back that far.
I think that's where, I mentioned earlier, being part of Ultraboost is just special in itself from an iconic shoe. And that's only what, next year is 10 years of Ultraboost, right? 10 years of a company that we've just celebrated 75th birthday is pretty mad. So when you can go in the archive and you can see and you can feel like you're part of it. Also, you asked me before actually about special moments. If a shoe comes out of the archive that you've worked on, that's a pretty cool feeling to know that there's something down there that you've been a part of, or a team that you've worked in has been a part of. But I think that is a recognition of you are part of something so much bigger that means so much to different people for many different reasons, right? So, yeah, that's really cool. And then if you're starting a product brief, to be able to go in there and get a little bit of excitement and a little bit of, what could be done, what have we done before, and maybe get a little bit of inspiration also, is brilliant. It's really nice.
Does every commercial shoe make it into the archive?
That is a brilliant question. I've never asked. I want to say yes, because everything's catalogued.
Oh, that's crazy. Can you imagine? It's got to look like the Indiana Jones down there.
I don't know. It's not all. I guess there's a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if it's all housed here. But, obviously any signed product, any record product all goes in there. So from Adizero world, a lot of it will be taken in there and housed down there. And Ultraboost is definitely all in there as well. So fingers crossed at some point this will be there.
That's cool. Nice. All right, we don't want to keep you too much longer. I think we They're saying till 11 o'clock. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sorry about
Great to talk to you.
Sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. All good.
All right. Well, Simon, thanks for talking to us.
Wait, before he goes,
Okay.
let's just say the Ultraboost 5 will be releasing. Do we have a date, or is it just this fall?
July 11th is the official first.
Okay, so coming right around the corner.
Right.
Yes. Very
Awesome.
soon.
Whoa, we'll need to get the rest of the team in these so they can test them out and get our review out. I think I may step aside on this one just because I had so much front end knowledge on it.
Okay.
Let you guys check it out.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks,
Appreciate
Simon.
it.
It's good talking to
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.